Christine from Pack Hacker. In this video, we're taking a look at the Topo Designs Global Travel Backpack, which I've been testing for 2 weeks. Let's jump in. So at its base, this is a 25-liter travel backpack that can expand when you engage this expansion zipper, which is by YKK. It expands up to 27 liters because the expansion only goes around 3 out of the 4 sides, so it sort of gives you a little more room on top, not on bottom, is what it is. The YKK zippers everywhere, if you're familiar with Topo Designs, you'll be familiar with the fact that they're pretty chunky, but they do work well. My only thing is because, of course, there's always all these long cords everywhere. Sometimes, mostly, it's this one. This internal one will get caught if you have it in the wrong spot, which apparently I don't. If you have it sort of up here, you can catch it sometimes, but that doesn't happen that often. You just have to sometimes pay attention to that. The bag's material, we've got a 200D recycled ripstop nylon on the face, and then we've got, I think it is 1,000D recycled nylon elsewhere, sort of around here. And as you will see as I am flipping it around, we also have 3 carry handles, which is really great for pulling it out of overhead bins or trunks or the seat in front of you if you don't pack it to its capacity and actually use it as a personal item bag. More on that later. There's a daisy chain of attachment loops running down the front where you can hook some extra gear if you wish. I don't tend to do that, but if you wanted to hook a carabiner and put a hat or something, obviously it's there, so that is great. And of course, we've got the Topo Designs logo here. This patch design is very common for the brand, so there's that. The only other way to carry it, other than obviously in backpack mode, is there is a luggage pass-through back here with more ripstop nylon, so you can slide it over the handle of rolling luggage if you so chose. And that is about it for the outside. So as you might be able to tell, this back panel has squishy padding. It's kind of hard to see with black and everything, but it's got micro mesh lining, as do the shoulder straps. So it's about the same thickness for both. And unfortunately, as I'll get into in the next section, I don't quite find it to be enough, but it is what it is. I do like that the mesh wraps around the top here so that if you have like bare skin, it doesn't rub. That's very nice. And then we do have more daisy chains here where you can attach another carabiner if you so choose. There are also load lifters up here and a sternum strap that is on another daisy chain. So it's not, you can't dial in the fit quite as much, but it's pretty easy to find a place that works for you. And then there's a little bit of a keeper here to stop any dangling right in front of you. So as I kind of alluded to, the padding doesn't quite blunt the feeling of your laptop in the back panel. Like, I can definitely feel its stiffness here where it is against my back. It's just something that happens basically whether you have the bag fully packed or not. And then the load lifters help, as does the sternum strap, with sort of the feel of it, but it doesn't quite blunt the feeling of being a little pulled backwards. It's just sort of the way this bag sits, you tend to feel it pulling backwards some. It's not uncomfortable in the short term, but it could get heavy and a little uncomfortable the longer you wear it. However, it does definitely fit, a wide variety of users. You can see it's not too long on me, and I have a shorter torso, but it also does not look comically short on taller users, which is great. So there are a lot of different places to put your gear in this bag, which is really nice. I'm actually going to start with the front here, where you have this vertically opening pocket. It's just a very large slip pocket, takes up basically this area on the face of the bag, and so you can fit larger things in there. I've got basically just my little like toiletry pouch and a little travel perfume here, but you can put maybe like a few, you know, like a smaller notebook or even a Kindle, really, if you wanted to there. The top pocket is also a good quick grab pocket, but it is definitely for smaller gear, especially because, so I've got my sunglasses here. So it's actually quite a large pocket, but you can see I've got my whole hand in there. But when you pack out the main compartment, instead of hanging down, it tends to get shoved up towards the top. So that's why I ended up, when I'm carrying more, I tend to only put like one thing in there, not a bunch, even though you could fill out that pocket quite nicely. The minute you start filling out the rest of the compartments, you lose capacity there. It happens with a lot of bags like that, but it's just definitely something to mention. On the side here, this is the one side that does not have a carry handle. Instead, it has this very nice stretchy pocket for a water bottle. It's pretty easy to slide a thin one in, and it is nice and deep, so you can fit a tall bottle in there and not have it like pop out while you are going around. I was able to squeeze in a wide mouth 32-ounce Nalgene as well. Definitely, you will just have to put in a little more effort to do that, especially if the bag is fully packed. You just have to, that's where this tab really comes in handy, because you can sort of like pull it back and then slide in your bottle and whatnot. So that's great. Then along the back panel here, you will see we have this nice zipper that goes around 3 sides of the bag, because the laptop compartment opens fully clamshell, which is great for accessibility, but it's also, I do have to point out that like in just daily use, you don't really have to do that. I basically always just did this and then pulled out my computer from the top. But if you need to get at things, especially at some of the organization in this pocket, you will appreciate that it opens so widely. Against, this is the back panel here, is a lightly padded sleeve for up to a 16-inch laptop, and we do have this strap with a hook and loop fastener to keep it contained, which is great. It's got a little bit of a false bottom, it's a little bit elevated, and it's got some padding. It's just not the most padding that I've ever felt, and as I said, I definitely feel it against my back when I put it in there, because the back panel padding is just not that thick. Then we have this zipper mesh pocket down here, and I have to say this is the roughest mesh I have ever felt. It is scratchy, it is stiff. I'm not a fan, but I mean, it's like, it gets the job done. It's holding my gear, it's holding my tech pouch, it's fine. We've got a key leash in here. It's rather inaccessible unless you completely open this, so it's a great place to put like your house keys when you're on a trip, so you don't forget where they are when you go home, but you're gonna wanna dig them out before you really get to your front door, or you're gonna be scrounging and hopefully not in the dark or rain or something. Then we have just 2 large slip pockets here. I've got my glasses case here, and then a few more little loops for like a pen, but you could really stick your pens here too. So it's just depends on how you want to use the organization, but it's nice to have. So if you are finding this video helpful, go ahead and click like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you content like this to help you travel smarter. Now let's go into the main compartment. It has a very similar zipper to the laptop compartment, but it's just on the front instead of the back. So it also opens fully clamshell, and then we have this stretchy like sleeve. I carried my journal in there, but I've also got some gloves. You can use it for basically whatever you need. I am not sure what got on this, and I've not really been able to get it off, so keep that in mind. Really, really unsure what sort of dirt I got on there, but it's sort of, now it's there. So probably if I put a little effort into it, it would clean up, but it's just something to keep in mind. Then we have this mesh panel holding all of your gear in the main compartment, and it is just as scratchy and stiff as the one in the laptop compartment. So again, not a huge fan. I don't really even know what to compare it to, but it's scratchy and stiff. So in here you can fit quite a lot, and this is mostly what I want to talk about, because Topo says that it is personal item sized for many airlines, and if you believe their dimensions, they're right. However, I'm not quite sure how they ever get to 7.75 inches deep, which would fit most, carry-on or personal item dimensions. But when I underpack it, so when I, make sure that, like you saw, I took out, a sweatshirt and a pair of jeans. Definitely can't have the water bottle in there. And then I still think it's probably taller than 8 inches deep at this point. But you really have to underpack it if you're going to be flying something like Frontier, because if you fill it without even engaging the expansion zipper, you saw there's capacity here I'm not using. And so even just doing that, I think even I would probably have to take this out, this toiletry bag out, and then maybe we're gonna be getting closer to that 8-inch depth. But if you fly one of those budget airlines that only gives you a personal item free, then you will know that you basically have to be able to drop it in the bag sizer without shoving it or whatever. And I think you're gonna have problems doing that if you pack this to capacity all. So if you wanna use it as a personal item bag and avoid luggage fees and whatever, just make sure to pack it carefully and measure early and often as you fill it up so that you don't get surprised at the gate, because it is more expensive if you have to pay for a carry-on at the gate than it is when you buy the ticket. Anywho, there's the PSA. If you're doing carry-on or you're going on a road trip and you have more space, this is where you get that extra space. Like I said, with the expansion zipper, like I said, it only goes, it doesn't go to the bottom, so you don't get extra space here. You do get extra space up here. So that really just makes it probably a little easier to fill, but you saw I was able to fit quite a bit in there even without doing the expansion zipper. It just gives you a little more room. I definitely had zero problem packing for, probably a 5-day trip or so in here with no issue. Hoodie, jeans, almost a week's worth of clothing in these packing cubes, toiletry bag. I don't have any shoes shoved in here, but if you're doing this a lot of times, you're just going to be using the shoes you're wearing and whatnot. So if you're doing that and you're not carrying it for very long, definitely a great carry-on bag and everything. If you want it as a personal item bag and or you have to carry it for a long time, might not be the best option. So there you have it, the Topo Designs Global Travel Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.